the medicines that we eat and drink or use, antibiotics very definitely are taken from microorganisms. We didn't have any antibiotics until they figured out how to do this. Breaking down a fuel, they used to think that that would be really good, but they use them in tankers to break down the residue of fuel when they've supplied somebody with oil. And they used to think that that would be wonderful to be using that in the ocean when there were spills. But the organisms don't survive at that temperature. They don't survive at the low temperature, so that didn't work. But cleaning out the tankers is a very good use of organisms. So you hit a bunch of them. You hit the antibiotics, you hit dairy, you hit fuel. What else did you say?
Yeah, they're great also for microbiology itself, for growing things in the jars, and they grow so quickly. You can multiply, and they're cheap, they're easy to use.
Mm-hmm.
So from the DNA, you can from one generation to the next, to the next.
You can get these organisms to make things for us, and use them as producers. So in the world, in the larger world, the microbes are very, very important for our survival. Our take on this is, what is the morbidity that microbes can cause, and how can we survive it? I can't think of a single function that would be positive for the Ebola virus. That I can't think of anything that would work there, or the Lassa fever virus. But maybe it's a population control, who knows? Maybe it was originally evolved as a population control to reduce the number of people that were using resources from the environment so that they can survive. It's a horrible thought, but maybe that's one of the things. So I want you to think of microorganisms as having a contribution to our lives. We use microbes in the tanning of leather, in the curing of tobacco. I'm promoting tobacco. But we use them in a variety of ways, and they really are all around us, which is why I used the term in our last lecture that microbes are ubiquitous. They are everywhere. We use them in sewage degradation. If you go back to the original life around the world here that didn't have a flushable toilet, they used outhouses where people went to deposit their fecal material and their liquid waste. And then sometimes they would shovel that stuff out and use it as fertilizer because there was a lot of organic material in it, which is why some of the diseases that we see in the world are contributed to by contamination of fecal material. Every now and then you'll see something in the paper that some area is rife with intestinal organisms and they cause a problem if you don't wash them off fresh vegetables and things like that. So they're big. They're very big in the world. And our job is to try to understand them. So I would just sum this up by saying lots of roles. And they're very positive roles. Positive roles. Our issue with microbes is, what is the possibility of morbidity, disease, and disease transfer? That's our issue. And that's why we study this as a particular course. So, going back from the beginning of time, we're really saying that 3.5 billion years ago is when we know evidence of the first microbes. We've certainly come a long way since then, but something very important had to happen for the field of microbiology to begin. Can you think of what that might have been? How could we have ever studied microbes? You can't see them, so what did we need? Microscopes. Right. We needed the microscope. So when we start looking at the origin of the study of microbiology, we have to really go back and look early on in history and see what were the things around that we began to learn about that allowed us to develop this discipline, if you will. And the first thing that had to happen was the origin of the microscope. Before the microscope, they couldn't see any microorganisms.